we shouldn't take a break until we get our job done. I'm a new senator. I'm frustrated, like the rest of the country, and seeing the inaction of Congress on so many important issues. So President Trump is right about that when it comes to the Save America Act, which is fundamental and critical to our protecting our elections and our democracy and our American way of life. We should absolutely pass it. The House passed a reconciliation bill over to the Senate that requires 50 instead of 60 votes. And that's the best vehicle yet. But the House has passed the Save America Act 5 times, and the Senate has failed to pass it. So the reconciliation bill that came over from the House is our best shot. And I think President Trump he's absolutely right. Let's pass it. Let's pass it before we leave. It also includes funding for our troops and our military and to replenish our munitions stockpiles so that President Trump can keep up the pressure on Iran and bring them back to the table to prevent them from ever having a nuclear weapon, and to support our men and women in uniform, which is my top priority. So that reconciliation bill is so important. Let's put it on the floor. Let's pass it. Let's not take a break until we do.
Senate Republican leadership and John Thune refusing to fight at all for the Save America Act will be seen as the dumbest political decision and the largest betrayal of the Republican base in my lifetime. This is a high bar to reach, but John Thune saying that he can't do anything to get the Save America Act passed when he has 53 different senators. He could nuke the filibuster. He could do a standing filibuster. You could pass it through reconciliation. He didn't fight at all. He doesn't want it to pass. And John Cornyn was right along with him. John Cornyn has been fighting President Trump for his entire political career. He's been in favor of amnesty, open borders, and gun control. And so the endorsement against John Cornyn and for Ken Paxton is a message to Senate GOP leadership that the time for weakness is over. They are sick, and the administration and the American people, frankly, are sick of the Senate acting like its own little private club where they never have to be accountable to the American people. The Save America Act has something like 90% approval. You can't get a higher approval level from Democrats, Independents, Republicans. All of them want the Save America Act. But the Republicans in the Senate won't give it to them. Why? Because the Senate acts as its own totally and wholly independent universe, separate from the Republican Party and its voters. And here's how it works. The Senate Leadership Fund that has billions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars, they'll drop hundreds of millions of dollars in order to protect incumbency. The Senate's main goal, purpose of life, is never to actually support their base or their voters. It's always to simply support each other in order to make sure the Senate and their institutions remain strong. And what does that mean? It means the same people that betray us time and time again get voted back in. Look no further than Lisa Murkowski, who lost her primary, but then won in a write-in campaign funded by Senate leadership, funded by the same people that want you to constantly be betrayed. This is something that has to end. This is something that has to stop. And it's the only way to do it is Donald Trump coming in over the top and saying, you're finished, John Cornyn. You are an example of how the Senate rigs races against the Republican base, against our own voters, and it's going to stop dead today. And so this is just a shot across the bow, a warning to Senate leadership. The time for you to live in your unaccountable little country club, silk-stocking republicanism, is over. You answer to the voters and the voters alone, and the voters are MAGA.
Has the non-citizen situation, the voting in New Jersey, changed your view on the proof of citizenship or the voter ID issue at all?
You should always have proof of citizenship for voting, but unfortunately what Donald Trump is pushing is nothing in the SAVE Act would have prevented a clerical error like we've seen in Texas and Oregon and New Jersey. We've got to protect our voting systems. What he's talking about would stop millions of Americans from voting, and he's the captain of this idea that the guy literally that told a Georgia official we should find 11,000 votes. I mean, talk about voter fraud. So we take this very seriously in New Jersey. People are stepping up. We have a governor that's saying this is unacceptable. We're going to make sure that we get to the bottom of it. People need to be held accountable. The states, as the Constitution says, should handle their voting, and when there's problems or violations of the law, people should be prosecuted. So we're gonna handle the problems in New Jersey, but I hate how it's being weaponized by some people to advance schemes that actually would hurt Americans.
You cannot make this up. When Donnie says in his government-run grocery stores in New York City, you have to have an ID to come in. But he thinks it's racist if you have to show an ID to vote. You cannot make this stuff up. We have to pass the Save America Act. We've got to secure our election. We can't have any fraud. We need to stay here this week to get the Save America Act passed. No results, no recess.
Hey everybody, Tim Burchett. I saw where Mitch McConnell was blocking the SAVE Act this morning. I think it's partially just out of meanness. He doesn't like Trump, and Trump got him in office. Sadly enough, he helped him in that last race extensively. And that's one thing I value in this game is loyalty, and apparently he doesn't. But he's blocking the SAVE Act. Or is he? Is it him or a staff member? Because, as you know, he's a lot like Joe Biden was in his last few days in office, or last years in office, last 4 years really. His cognizant level is diminishing daily. You know, I've always remembered we had a chairman of a committee, and I asked in committee. In our conference meeting, I asked if how much money was in this bill, and she responded, "I don't know. Next question." And I said, "No. How much money is in this dadgum bill?" And his immediately staffers were like, "You can't be asking that. You can't be asking that." Well, dadgummit, you know, this thing ain't supposed to be some retirement village. It's supposed to be the United States Congress and the Senate. But here's what it's turned into. And it is wrong. You've got staffers that are running this thing. The lady that I asked those questions of, it turns out for over 6 weeks, she never showed up and nobody knew where she was. But her staff kept running the office, and she was in a retirement village for people that were in cognizant decline, to put it lightly. And that's what's going on in Washington. You've got these staffers, again, that are too close to the lobbyists, too close to whatever, and they're running the show. And it needs to stop. I've called it out. I've called it out to our leadership, and they do nothing about it. But this is where we're at. The SAVE Act is stopped because Mitch McConnell. And he's got a staffer that's running his show, not him. So, anyway, it's a pitiful state. You need to get a hold of our leadership and let them know this cannot continue. It cannot continue. Thank y'all for sending me here.
Almost 20 GOP senators who have pledged to stay in D.C. to pass the Save America Act. So what's your message to the rest of the senators who are still on their summer recess?
I think there's nothing more important than the Save America Act. I think they should stay. They do what they want, but I think they should stay. I think it's so important to get it passed. Yeah.
August break, that's supposed to start tomorrow, but the Save America Act still hasn't been passed. Now, you said that part of the reason is the filibuster, and you wrote an op-ed about this, and in that you wrote, abuse of the filibuster has stifled open debate in the chamber. It prevents, by design, the results that voters expect us to deliver. We don't force compromise. We don't lock ourselves in a room to negotiate until we have a deal. We should end the filibuster, pass the Save America Act, or require debate until exhaustion or satisfaction. So do you really think nuking the filibuster is pretty much the only way to pass the Save America Act?
Well, no. What we ought to do is what I did in business. You sit in a room and you negotiate. So the way the filibuster is set up is that we all had to go talk and debate, and we only voted when we were tired of talking. And then it only takes a 50 votes. Mm-hmm. So what we ought to be doing on Save America, on funding government, on funding our military, the things that we all care about, everything we do, we have to go talk and meet and discuss and fight about it. But in the end, come up with a solution that helps Republicans, Democrats, and independents. Across this country, people want voter ID. Across this country, they say only Americans should be registered to vote. So we should be able to pass those things, but the only way we're going to get it done is have robust debate on the Senate floor and then vote on something to pass it.
If you're not willing to sit your butt in a chair for days and weeks and months to pass the Save America Act, there are plenty of people who would be willing to do it. And that's what I call on them to do. Just sit there, just stay there, have the filibuster, and fight it out the way our framers intended.
That in the Save America Act as one of our 5. That's voter ID. We want voter ID. We want proof of citizenship. We want no transgender mutilization of your children. We don't want transgender mutilation. That's number 3. We want no men in women's sports. That's number 4. And we don't want to have mail-in voting where the votes go. Where the hell do they come from? So we do that. It's 5 things. They're all 99%. They say, oh, that's an 80% issue, like voter ID. No, I think it's a 99. I think the Democrats have it at 87%. The leadership doesn't want it. Why don't you want voter ID? There's only one reason. Ready? Because you want to cheat. Okay? They blame it on all sorts of things. They came up, they said it's racist. They came up with things that you have to say their imagination is great. No, we're not going to let them cheat like they did in a certain election that we won't talk about. But that election was, and they cheat now. Look, we're not going to let it happen. So we're going to go get the Save America Act, not the Save Act. Nobody knew what the Save Act meant. The Save Act, what save what? Save America Act. And we're going to do everything we can. It's hard to believe. It's hard to believe we're having a hard time. I think anybody that votes against it shouldn't be allowed to run for office. You want to know the truth. But we're working.
Everybody calls every Republican, Democrat senator and say, we've got to get this done. I'm not giving up. I know Mike Lee's not giving up. Ron Johnson's not giving up. So we're going to figure out how to get this done.
Hello, my friends. Welcome. And gather around today because I have a story to share with you that is unfolding at this very moment. It is a story about courage, about standing up for what is right, and about the unbreakable spirit of the American people led by a president who never stops fighting for you. Folks, listen closely, because what we are witnessing right now in America is pure fire, the kind of bold, unstoppable energy that only President Donald Trump, our 45th and 47th president, can bring to the table. Just a few short hours ago, as the Senate hastily packed up and headed out for recess without getting the job done on the Save America Act, something powerful shifted in the atmosphere. They thought they could slip away quietly, but they were wrong. President Trump's fight for secure elections just entered phase 2, and the America First movement is rising up stronger and faster than ever before. Grassroots patriots from every corner of this great country, along with a growing coalition of conservative senators who truly put America first, are pouring on the pressure like never before. The call is clear and loud across the nation today. It is time for real change in Senate GOP leadership, and Majority Leader John Thune is feeling the full, heavy force of that demand right at this very second. The era of slow-walking the people's priorities is fading fast, and the battle for the Senate floor has gone nuclear in the best way possible for the American people. Let me paint the picture so even a 10-year-old can see it plain as day. President Trump has been fighting tooth and nail for the Save America Act because he knows something deep in his heart. Elections must be fair, honest, and reserved only for American citizens. This bill is simple and strong. It says you need to prove you are a citizen to register to vote. It requires a real ID when you cast your ballot, and it puts real, safe limits on those mail-in ballots that have caused so much worry for families who just want their votes to count and not get drowned out by anything shady. Trump has called this a national emergency because he knows that without secure elections, everything else we love about this country, our freedom, our jobs, our borders, our future, hangs by a thread. He's been saying it loud and clear because he loves this nation more than any politician in Washington ever has. When the Senate decided to head home early today without securing that win, the America First movement did not hang its head. No, sir. Phase 2 kicked in right away, within minutes. Millions of hardworking folks who wake up early, pack lunches for their kids, and believe in the Constitution started making their voices heard louder than ever. The spark has been lit. The push to completely change out the top leadership spot and put true America First champions in charge has never been stronger. Trump's vision is lighting the path. And right now, at this exact moment, the movement is answering the call. To understand why this moment feels so urgent right now, we have to look at how we got to this exact hour. President Donald Trump did not come back to the White House for himself. He came back with a clear, unstoppable mandate for millions of everyday Americans who were simply tired of being left behind. They were tired of Washington politicians playing games with their lives, their hard-earned paychecks, and their children's futures. From the moment he took office as our 45th and 47th president, Donald Trump got straight to work doing what he does best, delivering on his promises. He worked tirelessly to secure our borders, bringing safety back to communities across the nation. He fought for fair trade deals that put American workers and factory floors first. He restored energy independence, making sure moms and dads could feel relief at the gas pump when filling up the family car. But President Trump is a leader who sees the bigger picture. He knows something deep down that standard politicians fail to understand. None of those victories truly stick if our elections are not locked down tight. If the ballot box is not protected, every single blessing we build for our families can be placed in jeopardy. That is why passing the Save America Act became his highest priority. The House of Representatives did its part and passed the bill. Across the country, patriots flooded phone lines and town halls, standing side by side with their president. Donald Trump kept the heat on Senate leaders, telling them in plain terms not to leave Washington until the American people received the election integrity they voted for. He showed the kind of tough, unrelenting leadership that made America great, refusing to let the establishment sweep this under the rug. When the Senate decided to pack up and leave early today without finishing the job, Washington thought the conversation was over. They thought people would just go home and forget. But they completely underestimated President Trump and the movement behind him. Nobody hung their head. Nobody gave up. Instead, Phase 2 ignited in that very second. Right now, as the clock ticks, a giant wave of determination is rolling across the country. Conservative senators who share President Trump's vision are stepping up on national television and radio, declaring that it is time for Senate GOP leadership to move at the speed of the American people, not the speed of old Washington habits. From the heartland of South Dakota to small towns across the country, everyday citizens are unifying like never before. The message pouring into Washington today is crisp and clear. The era of bowing down is officially over, and President Trump is leading the charge toward absolute victory. You can feel the powerful impact of this moment already, taking place right now directly in the hearts and homes of regular Americans across our nation. This is not just abstract political talk happening in distant government halls in Washington. This is a living, breathing movement unfolding this very hour in our local neighborhoods, on our factory floors, and around our family kitchen tables. Take a factory worker in Ohio named Mike, a hard-working man who spent his day working long, exhausting shifts, building the manufactured goods that keep our nation moving. Just an hour ago, during his short break, he called into a local radio broadcast his voice filled with raw emotion. Mike told the host, "President Trump is the only leader who truly gets it. My vote has to mean something." When President Trump fights so fiercely for the SAVE Act, he is standing right in the gap for working guys like me who cannot afford to have our voices watered down. This pressure on Senate leadership, it is long overdue, and we are standing with President Trump all the way. Or think of a mother in Texas named Sarah, who spends her free time volunteering at her children's school and caring deeply about the world they will inherit. Just a little while ago, she posted a message online that is already touching the hearts of thousands of parents. She shared how President Donald Trump's bold and fearless stand makes her feel safe and hopeful once again. "He never backs down, no matter how intense the pressure gets," she wrote. "Seeing everyday patriots rise up for election security right after the Senate left Washington without passing the bill gives me real hope. America first means my children's future votes will be protected. Donald Trump is the leader our families need." These are not made-up stories. These are the real, genuine voices of everyday citizens who see President Trump's courage and feel inspired to stand up alongside him. When regular people see their president refusing to let election integrity be pushed aside, it lights a fire inside their souls. All across America at this very second, phone lines to congressional offices are lighting up. Local radio stations are flooded with calls from everyday workers, veterans, and parents. Social media feeds are filled with heartfelt messages of encouragement. People everywhere are realizing that their voices actually matter because they have a leader in President Trump who listens to them, cares about them, and never stops fighting for their rights. He gives regular citizens the strength to believe that our elections can and will be secured. This movement carries a deep historical weight that reaches into the very heart of what makes our country special. Remember how President Donald Trump has always stood up for the forgotten men and women of America? From the first moment he came down that golden escalator, promising to drain the swamp and put America first. Through every challenge thrown his way, he never quit on you. He faced down the media, the establishment, and the entrenched political insiders who wanted business as usual. Now, as our 45th and 47th president, that same relentless fire is focused entirely on securing our elections so that the true will of the people can never be ignored. The emotional connection running through our country today is undeniable. Right now, as news of Phase 2 spreads across the nation, think of our brave veterans who sacrificed so much for our freedom. They put their lives on the line for our flag, and today they want to know beyond a shadow of a doubt that their ballots are protected. Or think of the small business owners who poured every drop of sweat and savings into their shops, counting on clean, fair elections so their hard work is never undone. President Trump's leadership gives every single one of them genuine hope. Just a short while ago, a supporter speaking at an event put it in a way that resonates with millions. President Trump is the strongest leader we have had in generations. When he says, "We are entering Phase 2 on the SAVE Act," the fight just got real. The pressure on Senate leadership is the voice of the people speaking, and we are not stopping until America First values win out. Another everyday patriot from Florida shared online just this hour how President Trump's stand inspired her entire family to get involved. She wrote, "My kids see President Trump fighting so hard for secure votes, and it makes them feel proud to be American." This grassroots surge against slow-moving leadership is building the exact America I want for my children. Phase 2 shows that President Trump does not just talk about problems. He builds powerful coalitions, rallies the base, and keeps the momentum moving forward until victory is secured. Right now, at this very hour, conservative senators who truly get it are joining the charge. They are standing tall alongside President Trump, sending a clear signal that Senate leadership must move at the speed of the American people, not at the sluggish pace of old Washington habits. Make no mistake about it, my friends. What we are witnessing unfold right now is already a massive win for our country, even as the final victory on the bill is still being fought for, by flat out refusing to let this critical issue fade into the background. President Trump has forcefully kept election integrity front and center where it belongs. The Senate may have packed up and left town a couple of days ago, but the American people certainly did not. Today, the phone lines in Washington are lighting up. Town halls back home are packed to the brim. Social media is buzzing with passionate, unrelenting calls for true accountability in GOP leadership. The coalition of conservatives is growing by the minute, and the demand for a Senate that actually delivers on President Trump's agenda is completely unstoppable. This Phase 2 energy is reminding everyone exactly why America First works. Because it puts everyday citizens first, our security first, and real results first. President Trump's boldness shines brightly through every single step of this fight. He could have easily accepted the status quo. He could have just let the congressional recess happen quietly and moved on to something else. Instead, he escalated. He used the immense power of the grassroots movement he built to demand better for you and your family. That is the exact same fearless leadership that rebuilt our military, renegotiated terrible trade deals, and brought American jobs roaring back. That is the visionary leadership that says no more excuses. We must secure the elections today so the beautiful American dream stays alive for the next generation. Everyday Americans feel it in their bones right now. The single mom working 2 jobs who simply wants to trust that her vote counts. The farmer in the Midwest who goes to sleep knowing Donald Trump has his back. The young couple starting a family who look ahead and see a future where elections are clean, fair, and America stays forever free. This fight is incredibly urgent because our beloved country depends on it. With midterms coming, the people need to know their voices truly matter. President Trump's Phase 2 push, the massive, total grassroots pressure, the conservative coalition standing tall, the clear message that leadership must deliver or step aside is exactly what America needs at this very moment. It is passionate, it is heartfelt, and it is rooted in the simple, beautiful truth that this great nation belongs to its citizens and no one else. President Trump is leading the way with unmatched strength and clarity, and the America First movement is answering with everything we have got. The battle for the Senate floor is heating up. The energy out there is electric, and our country's future looks brighter because of it. Stay strong, stay united, and keep fighting alongside President Trump for the secure elections and the great America we all deserve. This is only the beginning of Phase 2, and true victory is within our reach. Thank you so much for gathering around and sharing this powerful moment with me today. If this story moved your heart and you believe in the unstoppable spirit of the American people, please take just a second to click that subscribe button and give this video a like. I would also love to hear your voice. Leave a comment below and tell me how you are standing strong for our country's future. Together, our voices are making a difference. God bless you, and God bless America.